What do the ice of Antarctica hide? In our new video, you will learn about 10 fascinating discoveries that have amazed scientists. These findings not only unveil the mysteries of ancient history, but also make us ponder the future of our planet. Subscribe to our channel to stay updated on all the exciting events and not miss out on new discoveries. Disappeared in the Alps, the tragedy of the DUMOULIN family. In 2017, workers at a ski resort in the Swiss Alps made a discovery in the ice that shocked everyone. However, this mysterious story began 70 years earlier. In August 1942, a husband and wife named DUMOULIN left their village to milk cows. The field where the animals grazed was high in the Alpine mountains, and the DUMOULIN couple never returned home. For 70 years, no one knew what happened to the pair. Their relatives and 7 children were left in the dark, and it wasn't until 2017 that ski resort workers discovered the well-preserved bodies in the ice. Police, arriving at the scene, quickly determined that the clothing and personal belongings of the people found dated back to the 1940s. Even documents were preserved, allowing for the identification of the bodies. According to the preliminary version, during their trek, the DUMOULIN couple fell into a crevasse. For over 75 years, snow and ice prevented the missing people from being found. Due to global warming, part of the snow and ice cover melted, and as a result, the bodies were finally discovered. The DUMOULIN children, who by 2024 had turned over 75 years old, admitted that this was an important event for them. For decades, they never stopped searching for their parents, and now, finally, they feel at peace. Antarctica, a treasure trove of meteorites. 430,000 years ago, a massive meteorite fell in Antarctica. Back then, primates still roamed the planet, and Neanderthals were beginning to settle in Europe. Today, scientists are just beginning to study the fragments of this enormous meteorite and are preparing for many discoveries, as the scale of the space object was immense. You might have heard of the Chelyabinsk meteorite, which fell in 2013. Back then, over 1,000 people were injured, mostly from shattered windows, while others were left in shock. Now, imagine if the same type of meteorite that landed in Antarctica 430,000 years ago had hit Chelyabinsk. There would have been nothing left of the city. In general, researchers consider Antarctica an ideal place for studying meteorites. Thanks to the complete absence of humans and the perfectly white surface, finding objects that fell from space is much easier. And due to the very low temperatures, the fragments are excellently preserved for tens or hundreds of thousands of years. In 1996, NASA researchers discovered a Martian meteorite in Antarctica, which they believed might contain traces of ancient life from the red planet. Scientists estimated the meteorite to be 4 billion years old. After several decades of research, the hypothesis of life forms was unfortunately not confirmed. However, considering that the estimated number of meteorites in Antarctica is about 300,000, most of which have yet to be studied, scientists may still be in for many unexpected surprises. Natural wonder, the icy lighthouse on Lake Michigan. Looking at these photos, it's hard to believe they're not photoshopped. The lighthouse is completely covered in ice, even though there's no ice on the surrounding lake. This astonishing phenomenon occurred a few years ago on Michigan Island. It was the result of weather conditions, a sudden cold snap and strong winds, which swept the waves directly onto the lighthouse. As a result, the entire structure became covered in ice for a time, making it look like a fairy tale castle. It was at this moment that a photographer captured it. Shortly after, the ice melted, and the building returned to its original appearance. The mystery of the skull, traces of the first humans in Antarctica. In the mid-1980s, a skull of unusual shape was found on Shetland Island, located in Antarctica. After studying it, scientists discovered that the skull belonged to a person who lived in early 19th century Chile. How did someone from a South American country end up in Antarctica in the early 19th century? Initially, researchers suggested that it might have been one of the seal hunters who ventured to these lands. However, it soon became clear that the skull belonged to a woman. There are no records of women among the seal hunters of that time, and the shape of the skull only adds to the mystery. It seems that the owner of this skull was one of the first people to visit the continent of Antarctica. A pyramid among the ice. In 2016, a pyramid was discovered in Antarctica. The images showed sharp, straight edges, suggesting that it might be man-made. When we think of pyramids, we typically imagine the Egyptian pyramids or the Mayan ones. However, discovering such a structure in Antarctica would suggest that a lost civilization once existed on the continent. This discovery could forever change scientists' understanding of the continent's history. For now, however, researchers and experts are cautious with their conclusions. They lean towards the theory that this is a natural process, with no human involvement. After all, there are many examples of similar erosion processes around the planet. These sharp formations could have been shaped by ice and rock over thousands of years. The most striking example of this type of erosion is the famous Matterhorn mountain in Switzerland. Many have seen its sharp form, including thanks to the fact that the logo of the well-known Toblerone chocolate was modeled after the Matterhorn. By the way, let us know in the comments whether you believe in the theory that ancient people in Egypt or Peru relied on the help of extraterrestrial civilizations to build the pyramids, or do you think it's nothing more than a conspiracy theory? Artifact from the glaciers, ancient Native American weapon. Looking at the photo, one might initially think the man is just holding a random stick from the ground. However, this man is a professor at the University of Colorado, USA, and what he holds is an ancient weapon over 10,000 years old. At that time, this massive spear was part of a tool. The warrior would hold a bow-like device in his hand, where the spear was placed, and then launch it to hit the target. Thanks to this design, the spear could reach great speeds and strike prey from a significant distance. This spear was discovered thanks to a melting glacier at the top of one of the mountains in Yellowstone National Park. It belonged to the indigenous peoples who inhabited this area at that time. Woolly rhinoceros, a hidden mystery from the past. Most people know what mammoths looked like, massive creatures resembling elephants with huge tusks and thick fur. However, not everyone knows that at the same time, there were creatures resembling modern-day rhinoceroses. These were the so-called woolly rhinoceroses, animals that roamed the earth alongside mammoths and became extinct around the same time, tens of thousands of years ago. Today, archaeologists are able to find the remains of these animals largely thanks to melting glaciers, which are revealing new secrets of the past. The Loch Ness Monster of Antarctica. Everyone knows about the famous mystical monster supposedly living in Scotland's Loch Ness. While most scientists are skeptical about the creature's existence, the massive monster from Antarctica, which lived many years ago, is a proven fact. In 1989, near Seymour Island in Antarctica, paleontologists discovered the remains of a massive creature with an incredibly long neck. For a long time, they debated over who the bones belonged to. It took more than 20 years for researchers to recover all the remains. They lifted over 800 kilograms of bones from the ancient monster. Only after this were the scientists able to properly describe the creature. They named it the Loch Ness Monster of Antarctica. It turned out to be the largest elasmosaurus, at least of those found to date. This aquatic monster was over 10 meters long. Representatives of this species went extinct tens of millions of years ago. There is also speculation that elasmosaurs could have preyed on fierce predators like sharks. This discovery suggests that incredible creatures once lived in Antarctica, and perhaps some may still exist today. Melting glaciers, discoveries in Norway and Alaska. Thanks to glacier melt, caused by global warming, scientists in the mountains of Norway are uncovering new details about Viking life in this region thousands of years ago. Among the discoveries are numerous artifacts that can tell us in detail about the lives of the Vikings. These include various tools, household items, and even fragments of clothing. All the finds are remarkably well preserved, having been locked in ice for centuries. Similarly, the melting glaciers in Alaska have revealed an entire forest that has been frozen for over 1,000 years. This place is known as the Mendenhall Glacier. Scientists noticed tree remnants emerging from the ice several decades ago, but only now is it becoming clear that, unlike other similar forests covered by glaciers thousands of years ago, this one is in excellent condition. Full trees remain unbroken, still standing upright. What other discoveries await scientists in this forest as the ice cover diminishes further is anyone's guess. The mysteries of ancient Antarctic ice. Sometimes, scientists are not only interested in what lies hidden in the ice, but also in the ice itself. According to researchers, some Antarctic ice is between 800,000 and 1.5 million years old. This means that this ice began to form when mammoths and woolly rhinoceroses still roamed the Earth. Among the Antarctic ice is the famous Blood Falls, But there's no need to be alarmed. Despite its bright red color, it has nothing to do with blood. Due to small cracks in the ice, water rich in iron seeps to the surface, and this element gives the water its bright red hue. The iron in the subglacial lake is supplied by microorganisms, which sustain life and obtain all necessary nutrients despite being under a massive layer of ice. This gives scientists reason to believe that life may exist under the ice caps on planets like Mars and others. By the way, red isn't the only surprising color that natural ice can take on. How about green ice? A green iceberg was discovered by scientists in Antarctica. In this case, they believe the color is due to the presence of iron oxide. Moreover, such an iceberg can act as a delivery service. Drifting away from Antarctica, it carries iron oxide, which becomes a source of nutrients for plankton far from the continent itself. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and like the video so you won't miss new uploads. Leave your comments. Your opinion is very important to us. See you in the next videos.